Yeah, I'm here. As promised, as committed to, I'm here on Christmas Eve. Just got back from a Chinese restaurant, part of our Christmas Eve traditions. It has been for years with the family. We all take off we go to our candlelight service there at church. Go to our candlelight service at church, and then, which is always a lot of fun. Good stuff. And then we go to a local Chinese restaurant called Formosa's that's open on Christmas Eve, and it's wonderful. In fact, this live stream almost didn't happen. And the reason why is because I think we left the church at, I don't know, what time was it? Started at 5. So I think we left the church at like 6:30 or something like that. It's an hour-long service, just a candlelight service. And so we left the church at 6:30. We left church at 6:15, got there at 6:30 to Formosa's, which because it's close to the church. And we were there 2.5 hours. We literally just walked in the door. Yeah, seriously. We just walked in the door. So it was kind of crazy. By the way, welcome. My name is Bill Marion. This is Nose for Life. As promised, I'm live streaming on Christmas Eve just after our candlelight service. And look, I'm here. And that's what matters. And no, I'm here as promised. We've had a great time for the past, I don't know, 20 days or something like that? I don't think it's that long. I think maybe, I don't know, where we've been live streaming and having some fun. Feed Johnson in the house. Yeah, we were there 2.5 hours. We were there 2.5 hours, and the food was great, though. The best egg rolls. When you eat there, especially Christmas Eve, it's better. It's definitely better than door dashing the same restaurant. You don't ever want to do that there. Not good. Too greasy. I had the orange peel beef or something, and Nathan followed that up with General Tso's. Carolyn, you know what? I don't remember what Carolyn had. I don't remember. Crystal had sweet and sour chicken, had egg rolls in Rangoon. It was great. It was great. It was a good time. 2.5 hours. And we had reservations. We still waited 20 minutes to get in, which is fine. That's fine. That doesn't bother me. It's Christmas Eve, and everybody in Chattanooga knows about this place on Christmas Eve. It's a thing. It's a thing. It's happening. However, they run out of dishes there. That isn't their normal flow of business, right? I mean, they don't normally do the same business they do on Christmas Eve. They were understaffed. Yeah, understaffed. Matter of fact, I'm dehydrated from being there. I'm dehydrated because, like, nobody complained. Like, nobody at our table, like, none of the family complained. Like, they were thankful that we actually got our food eventually. But yeah, 2.5 hours, every bit of 2.5 hours. And I'm not even complaining about that. It was fun. My son Nathan got on a comedy kick. Just he could do anything. He's one of those kids that can do anything, including acting, including comedy. I begged him to start a YouTube channel for years and years and years, but he hasn't done it yet. He probably will someday, or do something like that. But he got on a stand-up comedy kind of routine thing just at the table, and it was like he did an hour set just for the the other three of us. And he had us, he just had us, and I can't even, it's funny because it's so personality driven what he does. It's just, it was hysterical. And just, we got on this thing, because we couldn't figure out. Yeah, Nathan's talented. He's brilliant. We got on this kick about whether what are they called? The characters, the Chinese characters or whatever. I don't know what they're called. And we were like, not arguing, but discussing. Hey, Walter, Merry Christmas, buddy. Merry Christmas. And I'm glad you're here. Stick around, dude. We're a light crowd tonight. But I thought so. I'm here for people who want to share the Yuletide. I'll talk about that in a minute. Yuletide. It's kind of like Roll Tide, but a little different. So, yeah, we were just discussing, it's a Chinese restaurant, but are those characters Japanese? And so I was like, well, let's just ask the waitress because she was Asian. And I'm like, is she Japanese? Is she Chinese? And Crystal and Nathan went to peace. That's racist. I'm like, how is that racist? Asking somebody what they're, but okay, fine. So Nathan gets the idea to ask the lady, is this a Chinese or Japanese restaurant? And I'm like, of course it's a Chinese restaurant. Anyway, we're just working out things together as a family, folks. That's what Christmas is all about. Our big shindig is tomorrow. Our big our big Christmas festivities. Anna and Oz, they are in Georgia with his parents. They do a Christmas Eve that goes until like 2 a.m. It's a big thing with his family. His family's Cuban, And so they have the whole family over. We've been invited too, and they like all come to the house. They roast a big pig, and it's a big thing. It's like Fast and Furious. That's what it sounds like when they're describing it. It was kind of like a Fast and Furious. I don't know why Fast and Furious. It just reminds me of that kind of setting, and it's lovely. We spent Easter with his family and had a great time. Just great, awesome people, and look forward to that in the future. So our shindig is tomorrow. I got a ham to cook. Say a full head of ham. It's a full head of ham. No, it's a full body thing. You know what I'm saying. And so got to do some trimming on the ham. Excited about that. Why not? Because I'm in charge of the festivities tomorrow. I'm in charge. I'm the DJ. I'm the food DJ. Carolyn's still on the boot. Anna is recovering from pregnancy. Crystal and Nathan, they phoned that stuff in. They're not ready to commit. Is that Shane? Shane is in the house. What's up? So, yeah. So this is the setup. I told you behind me here, you got the laptop. This is what I look at when I'm talking to you guys. This is it. Ham with all the trimming. That's right. Ham with all the trimming. And except I'm trimming it. So it's the trimming. It won't be ham and all the trimming because I'm trimming the ham, right? So you can't say turkey and low trimming. I don't know why you would say turkey and low trimmings either. You have to trim a turkey. I don't know. What do I know? This is what I do know is that it's going to be great. V says 26 to 28 pound ham. I didn't check the weight. It doesn't look huge because I'm tired of throwing away ham. And so I went, you know what? We're just gonna see if this works. But I got it at Don's Meat Market. They're kind of famous around here locally. We get all of our fillets there, different animal, but still, you get the picture. We get it. We've been providing Don with his mortgage for many years now, but he has a good deal. It's good stuff. We've never been poisoned there, and they never have good selections at Publix. I will say this: they had lamb this year, which is funny because normally they're out of lamb, but I didn't want to do lamb this year. So anyway, so yeah, we had the candlelight service. We did that. And we lit candles, and there's a guy. I'm the executive pastor, so there are certain things that you have to jump in and fix if things go, if the ship turns the wrong direction. And it looked like for a moment the candlelight was going to turn into a bad direction, but nope, it wasn't. It was a localized issue, like in a section. A poor guy. This happens all the time. I mean, in churches, especially our size, where you get characters that come into the service. And this guy, he just kept saying, Merry Christmas or Happy Birthday, Jesus, which in a certain setting, that's appropriate. That is what we're celebrating after all. Nothing wrong with wishing Jesus a happy birthday. It's just you don't really want to do that when we're doing something else though, right? I mean, yeah, that's what we're celebrating. But at the same time, if we're singing We Three Kings or something, that's not what we were singing. But let's say we're singing that. We Three Kings for Maury and R, blah, 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 blah. I'm just wondering, real quick. No, I'm not going to say that. Good job, Bill. See, I just held my tongue. It's very good. But let's just say you're singing that. You don't want somebody shouting over the music, Happy Birthday, Jesus. And that's what this person was doing. And they would wait till it just got a little quiet, and then they'd be like, Happy Birthday, Jesus. And I'm like, oh, here we go. It's on like Donkey Kong. So I'm wearing a black pinstripe suit with a red tie. Now, I wear the black pinstripe suit not because I want to be a mobster or a gangster, even though in a different life, maybe I could have done that. I don't know. But I'm wearing that with a red tie. I wear that suit to wear the red tie because it's Christmassy because I don't have a green one. So I wear the black and white pinstripes, little bitty pinstripes. You can't see them unless you're like right up on me. But still, there's a few people, about a third of the crowd's in a tie they're old people like me. So I stand up because I noticed that our security, they're placed at different places around the sanctuary and they don't know this is going on. And people are whispering and murmuring. And we're getting to the candlelight part. That's why we come. We come because of the candlelight, right? It's a candlelight service and communion, people. We're about to have communion. You do the candlelight last and you do the communion first, like in the middle. So long story short, I just kind of excuse myself from the seat. I'm sitting in the congregation with my wife and my son's taking pictures. So it'd be my wife and my youngest daughter, Crystal. Mom and her husband, they're behind us. And so I get up, just quietly go to this other section and I sit down beside the poor guy and who is hammered. He is hammered, like stuttering drunk hammer. And, really loud, one of those. And I've got compassion on the guy because I don't know. I wouldn't want to. I've never wanted to hang out back in the day when I was like a big, yeah, happy birthday, Jesus. That was what was going on. So I get down there and I bring communion cups with me because I want to share the Eucharist with this guy, right? You're trying to extend the hand of fellowship, and they've given him a candle. I'm worried about him blowing himself up because if he as soon as you light that candle, it's going to ignite the liquor on his breath, right? So I shared communion with him and just kept hold on. He needed money, and you guys know the story. But now for the rest of Christmas, and again, my compassion is for the guy. The guy obviously needed companionship. He was lonely and needed some money. I mean, that's essentially what it was. And so not putting him down. It's just that for the rest of the Christmas season now, I'm going to be going, happy birthday, Jesus, because it was like really loud. It was funny. The guy's probably 80 years old. I don't know. He's an older guy. Couldn't stand up because he was like wobbling and, doing the whole I'm on a boat kind of thing. It was look, it's funny. I'm not saying it's not funny. It's funny, but it's sad too at the same time. So happy birthday, Jesus. It is. That's why we celebrate this. That's why we're doing this. That's why we're doing the shindig. So yeah. So happy birthday, Jesus. And maybe he said it best. Maybe we should have sung happy birthday. I don't know. Maybe he was right. I'm just saying it was just one of those awkward moments. And then to go to the Chinese restaurant, it started out where I was going to the Chinese. This is 15 years ago. We started going to the Chinese restaurant after the candlelight service. We stopped going to Michigan every year for Christmas somewhere around this time. And somewhere around this time, it's right when we moved Dad down here. And long story short, that became our tradition. We go to the candlelight service at Abba's house here and go get Chinese food. And it was always one of those things where you're going to wait 30 minutes, even though you've made reservations. And you're going to be there 2.5 hours. It is an ordeal. I'm fine with that. But you can tell, you know what I'm saying? Like one year we brought my grandson and he was, he's trying to take his clothes off at the table. He's a little bitty thing. He's like a year old and he's going to pieces. And we had this whole room to ourselves that year. We actually got in quicker. It was 2 years ago. And the dad was getting frustrated. The food was taking so long. It's one of those things. Good food though. You saved him from a Christian what's a flambe? I don't know what a flambe is. I should know that, and I do not. By the way, you guys are going to have to talk more. There's 6 people in here. Come on now. You guys are going to talk more. You saved him from a Christmas flambe. What is a flambe? I don't know what a flambe is, and I feel like I'm having a Christmas miracle that I'm going to learn, though. We had 2 people leave because I said to please talk. I think people were in here. They were just voyeurs. They're just saying, what does Bill possibly have to say tonight? What does he possibly... Well, Merry Christmas and Happy Birthday, Jesus. That's what I've got to say. So that's what my day's been like. It's where they set the food on fire to burn off the... Oh my gosh. Okay, gotcha. Did I miss... Is it the glasses again? Got you. I see now. So here, check this out. This is even funnier. I think I told you about this already, Shane, but so I had to get something today that I don't want to say online because I don't know who else watching and I don't want it to get back to something, but I bought somebody something that doesn't fit well in a car. And I'm driving Dad's convertible right now. Carolyn totaled the truck last year. And we keep, all right, we got to buy a vehicle this week and then something will happen. And we just keep putting it off. We've been in Dad's vehicle for like over a year now. It's getting kind of embarrassing. It's not that I can't afford it. I don't want to go in debt. I mean, that's true too. And have you seen the price of trucks lately? I don't want to bore you with my problems. I don't want to bore you with that. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is it wasn't a completely spontaneous purchase. I had thought about this purchase a month or so ago. And I went into the Target, the French Walmart, and I went in there and I saw this thing as I was getting something like a final gift I was getting a gift for my youngest grandson, who I call lovingly Peanut because he's a little bitty thing. And he needs a bouncy for like 6 months whenever you go to a bouncy. And that's something his mom and dad put on their Santa list or whatever. Okay, fine. So he's got to have the bouncy, which by the way, for plastic and paint, way too much money for a bouncy. And they're not going to watch this live stream. Their old man embarrasses them. I get it. That's fine. So they're not on here. So I'm just going to say this. I don't know that you should spend, what was it, $150 on plastic and paint. I will say this, it's non-toxic paint, I'm sure, we hope. But that's just a lot of money. That's so exuberant for a bouncy. I'm just saying. That's my opinion. But Merry Christmas and Mazel Tov, right? So happy Hanukkah, whenever that is, and we're all happy. So I'm there and I see this other gift. I see this thing I'm wanting to get this person, and I'm in a convertible. Dad's car is a convertible, and it's an older car. It really is. But when I say convertible, I mean, this thing's a Matchbox. And it's a 65-inch television. I'm just going to say it. There, I said it. Yeah, I totally drove home from the Target, the French Walmart. I totally drove home from the Target. It's about 15 miles. I don't know. Actually, I've never done the math. I have no idea how far it is. Drove all the way here with a television sticking straight up from the back seat. Oh, and kids' toys. That was, but who cares when you've got the 65-inch vertical on the car? And as I'm driving, good old boys and rednecks are beeping their horn and they're cheering me on like, you are dedicated. They are feeling the Christmas spirit with me. They're like, that's a story. I want a picture of that. And you know what? If I hadn't been in a hurry, I would have pulled over and let people take pictures. It was great. Still here. I can't comment for a minute. That's Walter Langston in the house. Glad the candlelight service at Cranberry when no crazy stuff happens. Yeah. When it's always good when no crazy stuff happens. I wouldn't say this is crazy. This is you know what I'm saying? Like it's crazy because we say it's crazy, but it's more like it's sad. The compassion's for the poor guy. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Hey, Mark, what's up? Merry Christmas up in the mass. Good to see you, buddy. Bill at Strong Adventure. Hey, Bill, I have a whole size moonwalk blow up if you want to drive down here and pick it up in the convertible. Well, I did pick the television up. That's all I'm going to say. I might be willing to. You're not going to get as good gas mileage when you have a 65-inch television in the back seat of a convertible. You're not. I'm just assuming. Aerodynamics. Is it hot anywhere else in the country besides here? And when I say hot, I don't mean Florida hot, Louisiana hot. I'm talking about it's humid and it feels like late March, like right before the oven gets turned completely on here. It doesn't feel like Christmas. I was complaining last night because I talked about how the stores and stuff just don't feel festive. Because it's not a festive, like it needs to be cold. They say that helps shopping, by the way. They say that helps. I don't know. Shane, you're going to have to look into this. You're the economist here. Is look into how the weather affects holiday spending. I'm curious about that. That's interesting. Today was a calm day. Tomorrow is the crazy. I'm hoping I did all the crazy the past 2 days. Because it has been, we haven't stopped. I mean, I'm off this week, but it feels like I've worked a 40-hour week already. Like for sure. And I know it's not the same as work, but it's work, warm enough to go ride motorcycle, definitely warm enough to ride motorcycle. Definitely. And I had I'm talking about riding around with a 65-inch television sticking straight up in a convertible. This is true. I've got a picture. I'll put it on a video or something. By the way, you guys are gonna have to watch the Nutcracker video I put up because come on, people, help me out here. Nobody's watching that thing because it's a long story. It even got claimed. I'll win the appeal because it's canned music, bottom feeders hitting you here at the holidays, I guess. But the point is, I don't even know where I was going with that point. The point is it's warm. It's very warm. I had the top down for 2 other runs without the TV in the bag. By the way, if you're just now getting here, please hit the like button. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. And Merry Christmas. 77 degrees here, Shane says. Probably going to hit the beach tomorrow afternoon. I asked Carolyn if she was ready to go to Chilhowie Lake up in Polk County. I'm being funny because it's that warm. It's nice. It's as far as balmy, it's balmy. It feels like it could storm, that kind of thing. And so it's hard. It's really hard to think Christmas when to me, Shane, and to some extent, also Strong's Adventure, it would be easy. I don't know. If I'm in a tropical environment, the deep south, it makes more sense. But that's probably in my head. It's Christmas. You think of city sidewalks, busy sidewalk, all that junk, right? It's easier though if I'm in Florida, if in Flagler down there, or somewhere, Morgan City, Louisiana, whatever. For some reason, that makes sense that it's warm, right? I was in Morgan City, Louisiana. I was in 6th grade, and I remember it was when the Challenger met its demise. It was that same week. And they had a cold snap like the week before. I can't remember exactly the weather, but like within a few days, it was borderline hot. Strong's Adventure said, this has happened before. I remember 81 or 82 when I got my first BMX bike, and it was so nice that it wasn't cold or snowing. Back in the same time period, 81 or 82, I remember being up in Michigan, and it was unseasonably warm, and everybody was talking about it. For some reason, my loving grandmother, who I miss dearly, and I can't make stuffing without thinking about her. She taught me how to make stuffing when I was a kid. When I say taught, let me explain how this worked. Let me interrupt the other story to tell you this one. My grandmother, see if you guys can identify with this. So, obviously, the Great Generation, they solved the world's problems and then created a bunch of them, right? But they're wonderful people, hardworking people. I learned to cook a lot of things from my grandmother by default because she wouldn't allow anybody else in the kitchen. It was one of those things. It was like a badge of honor to slave away all day in the kitchen. Like that was how, I guess, their value in part was from cooking and being Betty Crocker or whatever. And she was phenomenal. And well, the thing is I'm a kid. I'm waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and the only other person up in the house was Mamaw. So I'd go hang out with Mamaw, and I would pester the life out of her. We laughed about it before she passed and everything. We would talk about this, but in the meantime, I was learning stuff. So I cannot even make stuffing without thinking about my grandmother. I love her to pieces. And again, I don't know where I was going with that story. Mark Cesarowitz out of Boston says, me, it's bitter and I hate winter. Oh yeah, that's where I was going. Thank you for reminding me, Mark. That year was 81, 82, somewhere where Billy was talking about a while ago as far as the BMX bikes and everything. I remember for some reason she got me a ventriloquist doll. Me and my aunt, my aunt's only about 18 months older than me. And so got both of us. I don't know the purpose of that gift, but okay, whatever, let's run with it. And so my aunt and I, again, she's only 18 months older than me. We're like first, second grade, first and third grade or something like that. We're walking around the neighborhood with these, doing the whole trying to, whatever you call it, not lip sync, but, ventriloquist stuff. We're trying to do it, right? But it's warm enough to where, and it was like rare. And, this is outside Detroit, guys. And it was just rare. I know Shane and I was up there a few years ago. Well, it's more than a few, probably 20 years ago, 20 plus, in April or something like that, Shane. And it snowed. In April, March, sometime around there, and like 4 inches of snow, something like that. Like it snows. It's outside Detroit, folks. They have winter there, but for some reason that winter, Billy, it was the same. Absolutely. Continuing forward, was his name Sloppy? No, I've had that nickname myself, but no, I don't remember. Honest to goodness, I don't remember. I think I don't know. I had an imagination, of course, so I think I gave it his own name. Bill pestering someone. I can't believe it. You can believe it. You can believe it. I wore my family out. I remember one time we went to Renfro Valley. It's a bluegrass festival. Papa loved his bluegrass. Same family, Marians, and we got a hotel there. Again, I don't know. I was in third grade or something. And they had these hotels around Renfro Valley. Renfro Valley is sort of like a bluegrass Opryland. And we went there, and they were really excited. And me and my uncle were going to stay in the room while they went to Renfro Valley and enjoyed bluegrass. Okay. And I trashed the room. I don't know what I was thinking. I didn't trash it. I was just acting a fool. And in turn, trashed it, especially to my grandparents. It was hilarious. I used every towel. I was jumping in and out of the pool. I mean, I was just acting a fool. It was hilarious. Yeah, I was a pest. I totally a pest. Think I saw that name in Goosebumps back in the day. Which name? Sloppy? I never saw Goosebumps. That's after my time. So I never got into the Goosebumps. My kids did, though. My kids got into the Goosebump thing for a while. Then I guess it got weird. I don't remember. There was something about Goosebumps getting weird. I don't know. So yeah, this is the setup behind me here. I use the ladder that is in front of you right there to put this retired lamp. It's a lamp, okay, but I guess whatever was in the lamp, I guess the lamp itself, except for the light, broke at some point, and the landlord had left it in the garage. So it's really just like a light thing, a fixture thing, and I put a fog light on it, and that is how I light the set. Yeah. So, but we're gonna improve this. I don't know. I like live stream. I love talking to you guys. You guys make it great. When the chat room is going well, it's fun. It's a lot. But again, it's you guys making this fun, and I love that. And I have a plan for this as far as what to do. But the problem is I don't really want to stay. This is a rental. I've told the story before, but bottom line is this was sort of like we couldn't find a place down here. And this was sort of like an emergency place. It was open, but it's exuberant in rent. It's high, and I don't want to stay here. I want to buy. So we're just don't know if I want to invest. I don't know. It'd be about $500. But if you keep putting stuff off, you know how this goes. Bill Marion, Walter said slappy. It said sloppy. I don't know who Slappy is. Did it not say sloppy? I need better glasses. Okay, I get it. Sloopy? Sloopy, sloppy, sleepy. These are like the seven dwarfs of us. I don't know. Sloppy, sloopy, slinky, slinky. You guys know the story. Okay, who's got grandkids coming over tomorrow and who doesn't? Let's talk about this. Who's got the grandkids coming? I'm excited about the grandkids coming. It's going to be great. It's going to be 8 hours of yelling, screaming, and running around, and me worried that the ham's not. Billy, we just hit me that we got to talk about this ham, because the last time, if I'm not mistaken, the last time I made an uncooked ham, like an actual ham, a head of ham, if you will, but without the ham part. The last time we talked, I don't remember. Like, I might have to do some Googling because it's been that long. What was that, 5 years ago or something? And so I don't have all my ducks in a row as far as what I need to do. I know tonight I've got to season it, at least season it. Then I'm worried about drying it out, too much salt. Can you throw us a bone? Just in the comments, just help me out. I almost called you like an hour ago because I wasn't doing anything. Well, it'll be 2 hours ago now because we were stuck at the Chinese restaurant not getting served. I didn't want to be rude to my family, but I kept in my mind thinking I could call Billy right now. And he would say, do this, do this, do this. But I didn't want to. You know what I'm saying? I didn't want to mess up the flow of events there at the good old Famosas. That's what it's called, Famosas. Yeah, the debate on whether, first of all, of course, it's Chinese food. It says that outside, but that was the debate that Nathan and I were in because the characters on the wall to him look Japanese. And when I said to him, let's ask the lady if she's Japanese or Chinese, him and Crystal said that that's racist. And I don't see how that's racist. I don't. I get it. We're old. I get it. We don't have all the answers anymore. That we have got to leave the next generation in charge and let them determine what's racist and what isn't because it's not our turn anymore. I get it. I get it. I don't have to like it. I don't have to agree. So my son, who is brilliant, looks at the nice waitress because he doesn't want me to offend her. And he says, what? He says, ma'am, is this a Chinese or a Japanese restaurant? It says Chinese food on the outside. So I'm thinking that's far more racist than just saying, hey, are you Japanese or Chinese? We don't know the difference. We're white people. You tell me, is that racist or not? I need your help. I don't feel like I'm what you would call superficially racist or exuberantly racist. I think everybody's got their whatever. Okay, sure. But as far as like, which part was racist? Me asking the waitress, like if I ask the waitress, if I say, are you Japanese or Chinese? It wasn't just him because Crystal and him, they will disagree. My kids were raised to be individuals. They were raised to be opinionated. They were raised to have educated opinions. Like get your data right, but they were raised to have opinions. They were not raised to be daddy robots. So they are not afraid to duke it out on a situation, but they were unified, which is when that happens, like, I'm like, whoa, did I miss something here? But I mean, I really did. I thought I'm missing this because both of them were like, Dad, God, I can't believe you. I can't believe you. It's because you guys dropped the bomb, isn't it? We didn't drop the bomb. That was like my grandparents. Yeah, same thing. You know, they were going there with it. And like, when did you guys turn into like hippie liberals? Oh, that wasn't a good thing. I'm kidding. I didn't say that. Todd says, our Italian restaurant is run by Egyptians. I know. And here's the thing. The scary part for me is you asked this poor lady, who's very sweet, by the way. If the restaurant wasn't kicking the way it was, because it was kicking, man. I'm talking crowded, Disney World crowded on the 4th of July, okay? Disney World crowded. So, sweetheart of a woman doing the best she can do. The bottom line is she could have been Filipino, and we wouldn't have known. We wouldn't have, because there's a lot of Filipinos that work in Chinese restaurants and Mexican restaurants and all that. If you ask what nationality would it have landed differently? I don't know. I have no idea. I thought it was bad to be like nationalist, though. Like, that's bad too. Like what we were taught that actually solidified global trade. This is the true story. Again, if you take modern European history in the 90s, from 2000 to probably circa 2012, you're going to be told that nationalism is not really an evil thing. It was just a necessary thing to, you've got all these countries unifying. You got Germany, you got Italy in 1871, you got Italy 1877, Germany 1871. You're going to be taught about nationalism in a completely different light than you're taught nationalism now. It's so weird. Don't ask, don't tell. I guess so. I guess you're supposed to walk around going, nobody sees color. Yeah, you do. Of course you do. God loves differences. I like the fact that when I'm in the woods, when I'm in the forest, not all the trees look the same. They look differently. They look different. This tree's a chestnut tree. Well, American chestnut's actually extinct, but you got the maple, the sugar. There's like 20 types of maple trees. You've got 20 types of oak trees. Diversity's good, but let's pretend I don't see color. Well, are you blind? There's it's neat. It's wonderful. What's the big deal of saying, hey, from which country did you hail before you arrived on these shores? Why not? Why can't you say that? I don't know. I don't think that's bad. I think aren't we trying to learn and exchange culturalism at that point? And she could have looked back and went, I'm German. And then I don't know what I would have said. I'd have been like, I have no idea. Do you like nutcrackers? Because I like nutcrackers. You should watch my video. What's wrong with that? I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying. Then again, she could have said, I'm from Boston. But she didn't. She had an accent, and I won't be insulting to imitate the accent. I mean, I would, but not live streaming. Did you see what I said about? I think I missed something. If you ask what nationality, would it have landed differently? I think it would have been, which part was racist? I don't know. Like, I'm lost on the whole thing, man. Like, I honestly don't know which was racist. Like, what part of that was racist? Strongs, that was you saying that. I'm sorry. You should, okay, there you are. You should have called me. My apprentice in Chinese and his family have a restaurant, so just ask me anything. No joke, seriously. I'm asking. I'm in humility here, or are you being funny about the Chinese part? Okay, not the Chinese part, but the restaurant part. You know what I'm saying. I'm old, Mark says. I don't mind embarrassed. I don't either. See, and I think my kids should be okay with it. I think my kids should be like, that's just dad. He can't help it, and like use me as the excuse. I will totally above that. Okay, all right. Sorry, Strongs. You need more roasted elf. And would you believe this Chinese restaurant did not have roasted elf? And I want to tell you something. I was almost offended by that because I felt like that was racist. We've had people leave the chat room. Like, I wonder why. Again, I'm not trying to offend anyone on this holiday, on the eve of Christmas. I don't want to offend anyone. My point is how are we going to grow? How are we going to heal this divided land if we don't ask people stuff like, hey, are you bald? What am I going to say to that? I'm like, yeah, I am. I mean, I have to shave still, but yeah, I'm bald. Doesn't offend me. I was born bald. So if you're born a beautiful black, Chinese, Japanese, Italian, Ohio, whatever, what's the big deal? You get to know each other. You're friends. We live in a time where people will get offended no matter what you say. I know this one guy at church tonight kept wanting to say, happy birthday, Jesus. And I could tell people were going to get all, I was there to help. I was. Bill, are you bold? Well, I'll tell you what, the guy at church tonight, though, compassion. You got to have compassion on somebody because, in my mind, happy birthday, Jesus. He means it innocently. He just was being loud because he was drunk. And, you know, I've never walked in his shoes to know how much of a desperate time he's in. And so have patience on the poor man. I was going to get him some money. He asked for some money. And so I was going to give him our money. We don't cut checks. Spur of the moment for anybody. Our benevolence doesn't work that way. And so, but you know, the guy's bad off. I was going to give him some money. And I said, let me go to office, stay here with the security person. Cause you don't know. I was worried when he had the candle because he couldn't stand, you know, he was 3 sheets to the wind. He couldn't stand. He's got a candle. It's lit. And I'm thinking any minute he's going to breathe on the candle. And, right. So I'm like, okay, just let me, when I came back from my office, like, I bet I wasn't gone 3 minutes, and he took off out the door. He took off. They said, we don't know where he went. And I said, why didn't you tackle him? No, I'm kidding. I didn't say that. No, I'm serious about it. Oh, that's cool then. And he is the one that does the joke about the Christmas story with the fra-la-la. Okay, all right. Bottom line, Bill, that is why we go. It's kind of tongue in cheek, right? It's kind of the funny thing. It's Christmas Eve. Nobody's open. You go to the candlelight. You go eat Chinese like that. It's just, I invented it for our family, but apparently it was a thing for many, many years and probably for the same reason. Candlelight, you've seen the movie. Hey, afterwards, we'll go do the Chinese thing. It's going to be, and it's a good Chinese place. That's the other thing. It's a great Chinese place. So I'm sure the joke, I think one of the ways that we don't make the crude jokes, right? It's not from pretending it's not funny. It's from going and having the experience there. Am I right? Come on, people. Help me preach this message. Help me preach this message. You go and you have that experience, and then suddenly it becomes your experience, and then they're not the other people. They're your neighbors. They're your friends, right? That you shared holidays with. And we didn't get mad tonight at all that it took us 2.5 hours to eat. We really weren't mad. It was the expectation. We were happy for the restaurant because we know that they're going to have a better year because of that night. Aren't you guys the same way? I know you are, because I know the people on this channel, and they're great. You guys are awesome. So yeah, I think that's it. I'm going to start a race relation discussion. That's the new channel. That's what we're going to live stream all the time. It's going to be race relations all the time. Yeah. I need you guys to tell me if you would watch that. Race relations, how to get along with people in different races, how to have empathy, and anybody going to help me this? Nobody going to say anything to help me, because I was thinking I could bring in some of you guys as a guest using the StreamYard here, that I can bring people in. That's the other thing. If you guys ever want to do a live stream with me and let's goof off together without getting too crazy, you know, let me know. I would love to do that. I'm trying to find something here to send, and I don't think I can. So yeah, everybody's going to be here tomorrow at 12. I have to get up at like 7, 6, 5, something like that to start the food and everything. No, I'm serious about it. No, Billy said, he said their best money-making times was Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. And I'm convinced that's not just people who don't want to cook. That it's people who have seen the movie and were inspired. They were like, yeah, you go to the Chinese restaurant. They're the only people open on Christmas. You go to that restaurant. It's a good time. Right? They don't care. They want your money, man. Capitalism. Hoo-ah. They want your money. They don't care if you're in there going fra rah 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 rah. Yes, it's racist, sorta. I love my neighbors. Ah, yes, they are my grandkids. Yeah. You live down the road from family. You don't have neighbors. You have like a 5th bedroom or 6th. I forget how many bedrooms you have, but you have it's like your neighborhood. You've got your grandkids, and we're not far. We're like, what, 2 minutes away? 2 or 3 minutes. So we're kind of still there as well. Mom, you should have gone with us though. I think you'd have lost your ever-loving mind, because Mom has no patience for like sitting that long at a restaurant. Like she'll go cook it herself. She's done it before. I've seen her. They are not open on Thanksgiving. Okay, explain that. Why aren't they open on Thanksgiving? Oh, well, okay, they're a different religion, so it makes sense that they're not open on Christmas Eve. I got it. Or Christmas, but are they open Christmas Day? I don't remember. The movie they were open on Christmas Day. Reminds me of the Christmas Story. That's the point I'm trying to make. We tried last year. Did you? I don't remember. I don't remember last year. Seriously, I remember 2 years ago more than I do last year. So I don't know. Guys, just got a text. I'm texting somebody right now. This is good. This is great news. Okay, great. I had to do that. I apologize. I know that's rude. I know that's not what you would rather see live streamers do, is stop to text. Actually, Shane, that was a forward to you. Remind me to tell you something later. There you go. But yeah, Mom will tell you all about it. She's not going to sit in a restaurant long, and she'll go cook the food herself. She'll go kill the animal and cook it and prepare it. She's just that person. But you know what? Everybody loves Mom. Mom's one of those people everybody loves Mom. But dad's the one that gets the cool points, right? Dad gets the cool points. I could tell stories, but I won't. It's really fun. But yeah, it's going to be a great day tomorrow. What have you guys got planned right now as far as what's your me? It's in the house. It's cooking. It's eating, complaining, gifts, and by 6 o'clock I'm going to be spent, like done. And by 8 o'clock, probably in bed. That's the size of it. And making plans next year to do what Toby did. I saw Toby, by the way. Toby the adventurer. I saw him tonight. He was at church. Brought me a gift. He gets me a gift every year. It's always the same thing. And I'm not going to say it on here, but it's always the same thing. But it's a very thoughtful gift. It's Toby. And so he brought me a gift. He's doing great. Said the cruise he went on. Said the first day there was some difficulty, but after that it was great. Walter Lane said he said that is exactly why they were open on Christmas, because of the movie. I don't know. Maybe so. If not, it should be a reason. My buddy Ken Hartley went to where that movie was filmed. I can't remember if it was the actual house or not, because I don't think they let you visit the actual house. I don't remember, but he went to the museum or something associated with that movie. And it looked hilarious. Like, he posted his pictures online. Really, really funny. It was good stuff. It's a good movie. It loses. They say that, and again, I talked to some of you guys about this, but they say that after 3 generations, by the 3rd generation, you kind of forget after that. So, like, I know a lot about my grandparents' generation. A lot. And you guys probably do too. Before that, though, I can identify with my grandparents' generation. Like, I get it, because I knew the people they knew. I have a direct contact with the land that they loved, right? They say after the 3rd generation, you start losing, even if you know the history. And that's my education, is all in history. So I know my history, but when it comes to the World War I generation, or when we were kids, maybe there might be one person left from the, what was it called? Prior to World War I. When all the rich people were dominating everything. Oh, wait a minute. That left myself wide open for a joke there. The robber baron time period. There might have been 1 or 2 left from that. I don't know. That was 110 or something. But I can't identify with people that were born, let's say, when we were kids in 1905 or 1899 or something like that. Gwen would work with every race and ethnicity. And they all had open conversations. I don't see why that's bad. That's what you need. You let somebody that's a different race with a good sense of humor and smart, they're going to own the room. And I don't care what color they are. I don't care what creed they are. Intelligent, sense of humor, great personality. They're going to own the room. Now, yes, there was a time back in the day that it was not like that. But let's be honest, that was driven by a lot of, we say hatred, but hatred's kind of a cover word for jealousy, isolationist mentality of, basically don't take my job, why are you here, that kind of thing. And a superficial hierarchical system driven by a bastardized form of capitalism. Probably too much of an academic answer there, but essentially that's what a lot of systemic racism is. It's fear of other. And by the 3rd generation of that, by the 3rd generation of you being worried that you're going to lose your job or your identity, 3 generations later, you get silly, useless kinds of fears. I think technological advances also make it hard to identify with past generations. Oh, well, here's one thing. Yes, one thing is for sure is that my son has absolutely nothing in common with my grandfather's generation. And the gap between my grandfather's generation and my son, which would be, that's what, 4 generations separation? The gap there is wider, technologically speaking, than any other generation, we think, in history. Like, you probably have to go back to the fire, right? To the invention of the fire, where it's like, yeah, we didn't have fire when I was younger. And suddenly the grandkids going, I can't identify with you. You didn't have fire. You're like, how did you? Okay, whatever. Because that's just kind of how that works. I don't think my grandfather, he knew what the internet was, but he spent his time at, for the first part of my life that I remember, CNN had just come, cable television was a thing. And so CNN was the only 24-hour news. And that's what you watched every night. You watched CNN from 5:30 in the evening. You would watch local news and then CNN all night. And you'd have to go to the other rooms to watch anything else. He owned the living room, in the house there. Later, it was Fox News. Of course it was. Okay? That's just how it worked. But he didn't know what the internet was. He knew what it was, but didn't know. And my son and all my kids for that matter, I don't know what their whole life kind of revolves, and it's not just them, it's kids in general. Their whole life revolves around the phone. And ours does too, for that matter. I mean, we do a lot on it. Technological advances definitely make it hard to identify with past generations. Absolutely. But it probably more so with our kids than definitely us. I still identify with the great generation. I still identify with them, but our kids don't. Not like we would have. My great-grandfather, I have more in common with my great-grandfather, though, than my son has with his great-grandfather. Does that make sense? Because my great-grandfather plowed with the mule, his subsistence farming kind of thing. He still plowed with the mule. He said there's no reason to get a tractor. It's only, I think it was an acre or something like that, not counting the mountains around him, but his plot was like an acre that I miss him too. His plot was like an acre and he still plowed with a mule. Well, I had another grandfather, mom's dad, who also would occasionally plow with a mule because they wanted they could. And so I'm looking at that and I'm going, okay, all right, that makes sense. My grandparents on mom's side had an outhouse until I was like 8. True story. But a lot of people, I don't know why I'd hit the microphone over it, but a lot of people in our age group, that's the same story, right? A lot of you guys knew people with an outhouse still. They just didn't want to move off the farm. They had different reasons. My kids don't know anybody with an outhouse. Come on. They don't know anybody with it. They don't know any of that stuff. Oh my gosh, he's back. Once was our Stratfield. Welcome. Merry Christmas, my man. Missed you last night, and I did notice I even asked about you. So I'm glad you're here. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Happy Hanukkah. Whatever everybody else says. Airy May Isthmus Cray for all my pig friends out there. Pig Latin, get it. Bad joke. But yeah, I'm glad you guys are here. I've had a great time during the whole Vlogmas thing, the live streaming thing. It's been fun. I've had a great time. Lots of goofing and lots of joking. Again, I don't know what the future holds as far as how we go about live streaming in the future, like other than like a Christmas season thing. But we're looking into it big time, and we'll see what happens. We have an outhouse in-house. I hear you. I remember outhouses. Yeah. Well, and you're more in rural areas like most of West Virginia, a lot of Tennessee. We're going to be more connected with that than, let's say, places in New England, let's say, that kind of went out before it went out here. No pun intended. But those are just the demographics. That's just how that works. There are things that we had setbacks here. And in the South in general, we were kind of behind the curve between a lot of cities that either didn't succeed during the Civil War from the Union, or they were far removed from it. So we were behind and stayed behind really until the Great Depression, World War II, and then that kind of got us out of that rut. But we were still playing catch up, and really until recently, past 20 years, 30 years, and things changed. The recession was when it was clear that the South had kind of pushed ahead of the Rust Belt. And the recession has just kind of made that. I remember Shane and I going to Michigan, and it was almost, we didn't talk about it much, but it was kind of sad because you realize you were going up to, as far as Detroit's concerned, a relic of the past, that it wasn't coming back. And it's like that in all the Rust Belt. It's kind of, it's over. I know they're like Pittsburgh, for example, has completely reinvented itself. And it's really, the last I looked into Pittsburgh was when we made that top 10 video about Pittsburgh. Carol and I made a visit back in 22 or 21. Loved it, by the way. I think it was 22. Loved it. Come to think of it, it was 21. Had a great time, but they've reinvented themselves. They're a tech city, or kind of an East Coast tech city. Walter Langston said, no, they are pit toilets. It only matters when the government does. I get you. Oh, wait, I got to go back to Walter's comment. If you go to national parks, you can still find them. Yeah, that's a little different than what I'm talking about. Definitely. It's definitely different. Those are actually very nice. That is the Hilton to the Motel 6 I'm describing. Okay. No, that's not even a good comparison. I don't even know of a good an outhouse is just that. It's an outhouse. I have seen some some like pictures of nicer outhouses than what my grandparents had. This is pretty bad. It kind of blows my mind if I went into detail about that entire situation of going, there's no reason for this. But sometimes it's more complicated in the individual's life as to why the situation is the way it is. And I've learned not to judge it too quickly because I'm not in their shoes. I didn't face the things that they were facing being who they were. And they had struggles. They had very unique struggles. If you think it's bad now as far as the job market and whatnot, and I've talked to a few of you guys about this a lot, as bad as we think it is now, can you imagine what it was like in the 1950s, 1940s, 1960s, when you don't really have an education and you don't want to move? If you want to move, there were plenty of jobs then. Plenty of jobs, and the economy is rocking. But if you were in the backwater somewhere, especially in the South, and you weren't close to TVA or some other type of manufacturing, that there were no unions down here, so you weren't going to make great money. You had to have 3 or 4 different things going, and it was hard work. So a lot of people in my family in the 1940s and 50s in Kentucky, the Marion side of the family, they moved to Detroit. It's just so happens though that they did so when interstates are being built, and the interstate system kept people connected to the South more so than other migration patterns. The first migration pattern in America, the first great migration in the early part of the 20th century, people moved more so than they did in the 1940s and 50s, but they stayed moved. Whereas my grandparents, they were back here in the South. Most of the families moved back, to the South, even though they moved to Detroit and loved it and raised their kids there, and their kids raised their kids there. They're just slowly all coming back. They're like, okay, we're done up here. Whereas the first migration, that didn't happen. Interesting stuff. You didn't know you were getting a history lesson tonight. Okay, you're welcome. You're welcome. You see what happens when you come to New Year's Eve? You get history lesson. There you go. Not New Year's, Christmas. Sorry. Christmas. Around here, you could walk to work in the mines, and my great grandpa had to run corn liquor for his family to serve. Yeah, he didn't even drink. No, we talked about that tonight. I was talking to somebody else about that. It was Nathan. It was at the Chinese place about somebody that he worked with a few years ago. That was how they learned to make moonshine, was because a grandparent or something. I can't remember the details, but it was something very similar. That's about the only way that you could. It was like that in The Cove, Dr. Durwood Dunn's book that you've read, and his book talks about that. The people in the Cove, they didn't necessarily drink, but they were going to set aside corn for people to make corn whiskey or corn liquor, because why? That's how you made extra money. That's how you made money to live. I'm not saying that. Look, I'm just saying I'm not going to judge the people because they had to make a living. And that's why I don't judge the drug cartel. I'm kidding. I'm playing. Of course I don't judge them. They'll kill me. Just can be used in the company store. That's the whole thing, Walter, that the whole coal mining thing in West Virginia, East Kentucky, is just an entire book of insanity. On one hand, you've got people who are actually coming out of the mountains that are making it. There were people that moved to the mountains just for great opportunity and work, and it was a great opportunity. But on one hand, and on the other hand, they just got done like a dog, man. You got to spend your money in the company store. You got to work. Oh, can you imagine? You can't save up to leave. That's just another form of slavery, man. That's just awful. It's not like that now. Like if you work for a coal company now, you certainly unionized. You've got a pretty good income. You're gonna have black lung probably, but even that now these days, it's a lot safer than it was. The bottom line is they just don't need as much coal as that's the one thing about the Trump campaign. I'm not being political. Just keep your shirt on. Back in 2016, when they talked about, coal companies and being pro-coal, that most of that's rhetoric. It's not about being pro-coal or, for coal or against coal. It's about we don't need as much coal now because we can burn coal a lot more efficiently than we used to. Bottom line, you have to remember that you could be an apprentice for lots of things. Blacksmithing, tanning, wagon making. That's what I'm saying, man. The job market. Or you could run a saloon. You could be, I don't know the word for it in olden times, but we call it a pimp. There were lots of vocations you could get into. You could be the librarian in town. You could always do that. You could be the dentist. Because, look, what do you need? You need corn whiskey and you need some pliers, really. And you're qualified at that point. Now, Dave, you get paid good money working coal. Yeah, you do. Sure you do. But who wants to work in a coal mine? You do what you got to do, right? But who wants to do that? There's some people, I guess, like it. I think for the most part, it's not that people like it. It's that it pays the bills. And they have a better life doing that than they would do a lot of other things in the same area. Once you live in a region, it kind of gets in your blood. Am I right? You become a part of your identity gets wrapped into something. I've tried to prevent that my whole life, and I've done a good job. I have done a good job of not having my identity too wrapped up in a location to an extent. And I think none of us are probably like our forefathers were when it comes to being completely tied to an area. I am more worried about all the sheetrock dust that I have to, right? But no one talks about, not yet. I have the name, and Shane knows who I'm going to not who I'm going to say, but the name of the attorney that Shane and I have for you to take your lawsuit. And I'll do an imitation sometime, like on a private live stream, and it's pretty funny. Talks like this right here. Hey, listen, it's like Ross Perot. Anyway, it's funny stuff. Once was R. Strathfield. Word has it that there will be a greater need for manual work now that AI will be taking white-collar jobs. I admit to being a novice on the subject. You know what? Can I be honest with you? I think we're all novices on the subject. Again, I have more conversation here with Shane because, like I've said in here many times, we've known each other since we were 12, and so we talk all the time. And he has some insight on this that's better than mine, but I think some of it's inflated. I think we are in a. This is fact. We need skilled workers right now, like bad. And if somebody's let's say somebody's 38, 40, somewhere around there, and you're ready for a life change, you could go be a welder in no time, okay, and make awesome money. I don't think there's a lot of excuses, unless it's mental health issues and things like that, criminal record, but even then, not really, for people not to change if they want to get involved with something, if they're serious about working. They're willing to move and travel to the money. It's out there. There's money to be made here in the U.S. If I'm wrong, fire me up. I'm dead serious right now. Light me up in the comments, because that's just what I'm reading stuff where I'm going, yeah, we're not needing 100 million college professors right now. Because let's be honest, people going to college are losing money left and right when they're getting out of college. I don't think we're needing that. I don't think we're needing a lot of white collar people. What I do think that we're needing is people that know how to wire houses. Billy, we talked about that last night. We need people who are skilled at those things. Cartels. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Walter Layson says, coal mines, short drive from my house. You are in coal country, brother. You are definitely in coal country. Stacy Cope, who lives down, Todd, if you're still on here, Stacy's your pastor, but Stacy Cope, who lives in that area, and Todd as well, You know, you're a hop, skip, in a jump from West Virginia there in Virginia. So you're not far from where Walter lives, and it's across the mountains there. And as soon as you get over there, it's like Station knew everything about that. But it is definitely a different culture than the parts of West Virginia I talk about. It is cold country. It is truly cold country. Stratfield says, thumbs up. Yeah, hit that thumbs up button. I think adaptability is the key. Yeah. I will say this. Y'all can make fun of me. You're fine. You're allowed to, right? That's why I'm here. At 52, it gets harder and harder to be adaptable, though. Am I the only one over 45 that says that? Like, it's just, yeah, I'm sure I could, you know, I'm sure there are things I could do. Big Gas is in the house. Good to see you, buddy. Visitors just left. Merry Christmas Day from the future. Hey, how is the future, by the way? Did it happen and when? Let us know in the comments. Murray. That's how the Southerners here, that's how we always say it, or the mountain people. Merry Christmas. Todd said, we moved to Giles County. Is it Giles or Giles? I can't remember. 15 minutes from West Virginia. Dude, that's a good move. I'm glad that you left the house that you were in when we lived up there, because those were some horror stories, my brother. Horror stories. You were telling us about those back in 2020. Like what was going on there. Adaptability decreases with age by every waking minute. You are so true. Adaptability does decrease. I need some lottery numbers from the future. That's what I'm screaming. Bill, I am 55. Bill, I am 50. Where did it go? Bill, I am 55, and I don't see it. No, it's like it's harder and harder to get up in the morning and go, okay, I'm going to do this new thing. You can do it. It's not that you can't do it. That's the whole thing. None of us in here have a middle decline yet. Oh, okay, maybe a little, sure. But I know one of the hardest things to do was to learn YouTube, and not that I've learned it. Listen, because I'm opening myself up for all kinds of wisecracks, right? But it was extremely hard to learn an entirely new way of communicating with people visually. It was very difficult. And I was still in my 40s, late 30s and 40s. So I can't imagine, okay, today we're going to learn how to code. Because if you learn how to code, you can get a tech job or whatever. First of all, man, shoot me now, right? Walter Langston says back to once was our Stratfield. I have no choice but to adapt. I moved away from Sydney to Tasmania. Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing. If you're trying to, let's say, better yourself or change geographies, change atmospheres or whatever, you probably are going to have to flex and do what they're doing there, right? Different parts of the country here in the U.S., we have different things, but it's not like it used to be. It used to be, okay, the assembly lines were in the Rust Belt, and this other thing was down here, and this over here was this. It's starting to become a lot different now. I went from designing and selling steel buildings. This is Big Gas, by the way, to retire a grumpy old man. Sound like my dad. Dead easy. Hey, it's too easy, man. Too easy. I've told kids about 10 years ago, like, look, if you want a 20-year retirement, retire at 45 or so, and haven't made, join the Army. I regret saying that. I was actually saying that before then. I regret saying that because one of the problems with the whole Army bit is you have to be all in. And Shane will tell you that I've changed a lot since getting out of the Army. I was in the Army for close to 10 years. I was in the Guard, but about half my time was active duty. And so it was hard. Like, you have to be all in, whether or not you even know the political situation or not, or whether you should be involved or not. And so now I'm a lot more careful, about recommending military service. I always ask him, I'm like, just make sure you believe what we're doing all the time, because you may not. I'm just throwing that out there. Okay. Cheer me up in the comments. Or become a lawyer that works around the clock for 20 years. Become a lawyer. That's the thing. I don't think I could be a lawyer because I'm told by everybody it's nothing like television. Where you're arguing in front. Matter of fact, they try not to be in court. That's the whole goal, is don't try your best to settle and all this stuff. So you really don't want to be in court. I don't know. I just, yuck. I like watching, like Better Call Saul. Great show. Anybody like? I liked it better than Breaking Bad. I'm like the one in 1,000 who says that, but I liked Better Call Saul better than Breaking Bad because the dude just cracked me up. So yeah, I couldn't do the lawyer thing. I couldn't do the lawyer. I'm not confident in the future of coding. I'm not. I threw that out there, but that's a good. I agree. AI can easily do that sort of work. I guess so, and I guess it does it better. Or I forget what I say. It's not that it's better; it just does it differently. I liked both shows. Saul's awesome too. That show made me smile. It just made me laugh. Pluribus. If you guys watch Pluribus on Apple, made by the same guy that made Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. It stars the chick from Better Call Saul, the tall blonde woman. She's on there. It's actually a good show. It's a neat show. I liked it. I know it's kind of out there, but I liked it. I think it's good, or like it. I think there's one episode left. I'm not for sure. But anyway, yeah, have a friend who's a lawyer. He does not have much free time. How could you? How could you? But you have to love your job at that point, right? You have to love your job. But ministry is kind of like that, to where you don't really have a set schedule. I was telling Shane about this, that I got a call yesterday. I'm supposed to be off and blah, 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 but it had to get done. It's just the way it is. And that's the way that works with ministry. Like, if somebody passes away, we had 2 deaths this past week. You're doing funerals by the end of the week. And it doesn't matter that you're off, because that's what we do. And you just kind of get your mindset to it. Does it frustrate the family? Yes, but it's just a part of what you do. So I guess lawyers kind of just adjust that way. They kind of know what's in it. And what are they bringing home? Well, I don't know what an average attorney makes. Somebody could Google that. But let's say, what do they make? $500 a year, probably. A friend of mine from high school and college is an ER doctor, and I think he makes funny money. Like, I just can't imagine making what he makes a year. It's like, I'm not even going to say. We had a conscription during the Vietnam War. I didn't know that. When I was 19, I got the letter saying I was to be in the draft. So I joined the artillery reserves. God bless you. I'm sure you're hearing. I wasn't artillery. I was infantry, but I don't know about you, but my hearing is shot. Figured if they are going to shoot at me, but be as far away as possible. Yeah, it's a smart move. I wanted to be a tanker too. Like, I had this, but then you start looking at the maintenance hours and you start going, yeah, I don't know about that. I'm just waiting on AI, Billy says, to figure out how to twist wire and nut. No, it's not going to happen. But they've got robots, man. I'm telling you, there's a robotic revolution that is actually going to be the manifestation of the AI revolution. Anybody want to agree or disagree on that? In other words, a lot of what we're seeing in AI right now, okay, yeah, it's going to replace jobs in this, but I think it's what comes after the initial AI push. Robotics, for example. And I'm not talking about like the C-3PO looking person on the job. I'm talking about, let's take that, for example, as far as twisting wire. I go back to the job there. What all would have to happen for the robot? Maybe it looks like R2-D2 to pull wire. I don't know. It seems like that would be a human touch, though, right? It seems like that would have to be a human touch. I don't know. But then again, it's more than that, though, too, isn't it, Billy? Maybe it's not just the robot or the AI that takes the place. It's that we start wiring houses differently to appease, to make it less expensive. So AI gives us another solution to make, I don't know. Just throwing this out there. Just throwing it out there. I don't know. Because you got to admit, construction's like everything else, to where we get in a rut about the way we do things. And then every now and then somebody comes along and says, hey, why don't we do this and save money and time? And it happens every now and then. If we can get the government out of stuff, regulations and whatnot, I don't know. All right, guys. Billy, well, I got to read this, Billy. Generation X will be dead, and by then, it ain't our problem. Word. And so says every generation, right? It's every generation. That's probably what the Great Generation was saying when they were like, I don't know, pouring, pesticides in the river. They're like, won't this kill people? And what are they saying? We're saying, hey, thank you, Shane. Merry Christmas, man. Merry Christmas. Have a good one. You too. They were probably saying, the Great Generation is going, yeah, man, we're going to pour all this pesticides in the water. They're like, man, that'll kill Generation X. And then they said, hey, we'll be going. We'll be going. Big Frog, where did you go tonight, man? Come on, dude. Come on. I'm just kidding, dude. Dude, it happens. We almost canceled the live stream because we had a great candlelight service, and then I was at the Chinese restaurant for 2 hours. So I thought, I'm never going to make it back. And I literally slid in the chair with like 4 minutes to spare. So yeah, what are you going to do? So it's okay. But listen, I appreciate you guys coming. Merry Christmas to you, to your family. This has been great. I've had a great time. And I am going to spend the next week trying to figure out what kind of attempt Carol and I are going to make at bringing this to a reality during the week, and to see if we can't work something out. You didn't set an alarm. So yeah, that was great. That was great. YouTube didn't notify. Okay, that was my fault, Big Frog. That was my fault. Here's what happened. I've got to say this before we go. What I've got to do, apparently, I've got to schedule these things like right afterwards. So I just screwed it up. Bottom line is I forgot to schedule it last night. And the only way it's going to send out notifications is if I schedule it like 12 hours in advance or something like that. So that one's on me. So I apologize. That's my fault. Merry Christmas, guys. Happy New Year. And watch my Nutcracker video or something. I don't know. I'm trying to get that thing to get to circulating, and it's just not happening. But anyway, Merry Christmas. Peace out.